I will tell you a story I witnessed long ago in my village, one that still echoes in the whispers of the elders and in the songs of the griots. It is the story of Kojo, the humble cowherd, and Princess Adoma, daughter of King Kusi of the great Ashanti kingdom. Kojo was a simple young man, born to a family of herders who tended cattle in the rolling green hills beyond the village. From sunrise to sunset, he walked the land barefoot, guiding his father's cows to the river and back. His only wealth was his flute, carved by his grandfather, which he played every evening under the baobab tree, filling the air with melodies that made even the birds pause in admiration. One fateful afternoon, as Kojo led his herd to drink, he saw a figure struggling in the river. Without hesitation, he jumped into the swift current and pulled her to safety. It was only when she caught her breath and pushed her drenched braids from her face that he recognized her, the princess herself, Adoma. She had wandered from the palace gardens and followed the river's path, mesmerized by its shimmering beauty, until she slipped into his embrace. Now, dripping wet and embarrassed, she thanked Kojo with a voice as soft as palm wine. Kojo, not knowing how to properly address royalty, simply smiled and handed her his own cloth to dry herself. That moment bound them together like the roots of the Iroko tree. Adoma found herself seeking Kojo's company again and again. She would slip away from the palace walls to listen to him play his flute and tell stories of the stars, the rain, and the spirits of the land. And Kojo, though he knew the dangers of such a friendship, could not resist the warmth of her presence. But love, like the Harmattan wind, does not pass unnoticed. The palace guards grew suspicious of the princess's absences, and soon the whispers reached the ears of the king himself. King Kusi, a man of great pride, summoned Adoma and demanded the truth. She could not lie. With tears in her eyes, she admitted a love for the cowherd. The king's anger was like the roar of the great thunder spirits. He forbade Adoma from seeing Kojo again and ordered the guards to find the boy. But Kojo had already been warned by an old market woman who had overheard the king's fury. He fled into the forest, where he hid among the towering trees, alone with his flute and his sorrow. Days turned into weeks, and Adoma, heartbroken, refused to eat or speak. Her once bright eyes grew dull, and the palace healers murmured of a sickness beyond their understanding, the sickness of a broken heart. The king, though proud, was also a father, and seeing his daughter wilt like a flower without rain pained him. At last, he decreed that Kojo could return, but only if he proved his worth. The annual wrestling festival was approaching, where warriors and strongmen from all corners of the kingdom would compete for glory. If Kojo could defeat the mightiest of them all, he would be granted one request. The villagers laughed when they heard the decree. How could a mere cowherd, lean from years of tending cattle, stand against the great wrestlers? But Adoma, upon hearing this, sent a trusted servant to find Kojo and tell him of the challenge. Kojo returned, his heart burning with determination. He spent days training in secret, strengthening his body, learning from the village's oldest fighter, an elder who had once been a champion in his youth. When the festival day arrived, the people gathered in a great circle to watch the match. Kojo's opponent was Kwabena, the strongest warrior in the kingdom, a man with arms like tree trunks and the speed of a panther. The drumbeat sounded and the fight began. Kwabena was relentless, throwing Kojo to the ground again and again. But each time, Kojo rose, his breath steady, his eyes fierce. Then, remembering the way his cattle moved to avoid danger, Kojo changed his approach. Instead of matching Kwabena's strength, he used his agility, sidestepping, dodging, making the warrior tire himself out. When the moment was right, Kojo seized his chance. He twisted, turned, and flipped Kwabena onto his back. Silence! Then cheers. The villagers erupted in celebration. Kojo had won. The king, though humbled, kept his word. He stood before Kojo and asked what his heart desired. Kojo, still panting, turned to Adoma, and with a deep bow he said, "I wish only to be by her side." The king sighed, then nodded. So be it. And so Kojo, the cowherd, married Princess Adoma, not because of his wealth or status, but because he had proven that strength is not only in the body, but also in the heart. They lived together, not in the palace, but in a home they built near the river, where Kojo played his flute in the evenings, and Adoma listened, her heart light as the wind. Even now, when the wind rustles through the trees, some say it carries the tune of Kojo's flute, a reminder that love, when true, can break even the strongest chains of tradition.